Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix and welcome to my astrological overview for the sign of Taurus for 2026. And that is if you are Sun Taurus and also if you are rising sign, also known as the ascendant. And this is tropical Western astrology. How is 2026 going to unfold for you? Well, I think, and I'm going to give you the headlines really through this reading with a little bit of expansion in certain areas that I feel are of importance. And I think it's always important to remember that astrology is what we make of it. We can work with the energies that we have, and you have some really interesting and productive and potentially quite life-changing energies this year, should you choose to actually work with them. So I think it's a year of inner healing. I think you will be building new foundations, gaining more financial clarity and emotional grounding. I think you're going to experience expansion mentally. Possibly new career directions, or even relaunching, rebranding, anything that is innovative and new to do with your life path, your soul purpose. And you're really going to notice that liberation and freedom that comes from Uranus, the planet of unexpected happenings, of shock, of disruption, electricity, who has been going through your sign for over 7 years. And Uranus is finally leaving your sign, and that will actually be in mid-April, but I'll come to that in a minute. You've also got a new, fairly long-term visitor dipping his toes into your sign this year in the shape of Chiron, the wounded healer and the cosmic object, which is part of the group of space objects known as the centaurs. And Chiron is really going to help empower you on an inner level and do a lot of inner healing, but I'll come to that in a moment. Let's just have a look, because I think there's a chance, there's an opportunity this year for powerful internal reset. Let's see what this is all about. So, okay, let's start with Saturn in Aries and Neptune, because there is a lot of hype out there about the forthcoming exciting conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries at the 0 degree. How is it going to impact you? Well, of course, Aries is your 12th house. This is very much about the unconscious self. This is about you knowing you on a very deep level. Spiritual insight, spiritual healing. It can bring endings, but new beginnings, but endings that feel like completion, like, yes, this is how it is meant to go forward. So I think Saturn in general, before we actually come to the actual conjunction on the 20th of February, will bring you, as it transits this 12th house of yours in Aries, it'll go as far as 17 degrees in 2026. And remember, Saturn is a sign of structure, timing, and stability. So I think it's going to bring deep inner psychological transformation in many ways, where issues that you work on or have been working on or are aware of on your inner level that have perhaps been taking years to somehow work through or come to terms with, I think Saturn is finally saying it's time. You are on time now. The timing is right to really address some of these issues and finally let them go. And I think Neptune will help you with that, will help you with some of the illusion that you have had around maybe certain aspects of your inner self, that Saturn is going to cut through the fog and the mist that Neptune can represent to help you get to your inner truth. So you can release old emotional baggage. You can establish healthier personal boundaries. And you can let go finally of fears that really don't belong with where you are today. So it's like you're being given an opportunity through Saturn to work with long-standing, it could feel like karmic issues, things that have residues of everything that have held over for you through your life, this life. Maybe there are resonances and echoes of former lives, but that is the nature of this 12th house. So it will empower you to become spiritually stronger and more spiritually grounded. So it's a real psychological clearing out year. And what about Neptune, which will only go up to about 2 degrees because it'll be in this 12th house of yours for the next approximately, 14 years. So it's a long time. But my goodness, in this 12th house, heightened intuition. You will notice subtle shifts in how you work psychologically. Patterns that have held you up, that have been beliefs that have been keeping you stuck and rigid in fixed Taurian ways will dissolve. And it'll be easy to feel that ability to change, so that behind the scenes of everything that might be going on in your life in 2026, you will really notice this, a spiritual awakening. You had a literal awakening the last 7-8 years with Uranus in your sign of Taurus. And now with Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house, it's a different energy of breaking through, breaking down and breaking through. But what about this famous conjunction that we've got at 0 degrees of Aries? Well, the symbolism of it being at 0 degrees is setting the scene of huge emotional, symbolic, and spiritual change for you. If you are a Taurian who has been much more concerned with the material side of life and not perhaps given much attention to your inner spiritual workings, then this is the year when that's going to change. It's a massive 36-year cycle reset because Saturn and Neptune only meet approximately every 36 years. And in fact, one or two astrologers, I think Heather Ensworth and Pam Gregory, have researched with their particular astrological programs to see the last time that Saturn and Neptune were conjunct in Aries. There's nothing in living history or in the last 2,000 years. We think it, or the work they did shows it was probably approximately 4,000 BC. We have no yardstick to get a sense of what was going on in 4,000 BC. So this really is a massive shift. And for you, coming on that cusp of your 12th house, taking you into that inner world, that in unconscious depths, it's going to set you free to release old narratives, old stories. It's bringing you over the next few years. And remember, Neptune is going to be here for 14 years. Saturn will only be here for approximately 3.5 years. Then you're going to have it in your sign. More of that when we get there. But this is letting go of old narratives. It's rebirth, psychological rebirth. And I think you will find that your ability to work with your intuition, you will actually be much more aware of your intuition and gut feeling. And you really will be asking those deep questions of the universe, recognizing that there is so much more to life than the material world. So this is soul level healing that is on offer to you. You can bury your head in the sand, but I don't think it'll make much difference. I think this spiritual awakening will come anyway. But it is enormously exciting. Just to let you know what happened the last time Saturn and Neptune were conjunct, not in Aries, but when they were in Capricorn, which was in 1989, we had the collapse of the Soviet Union and the bringing down of the Berlin Wall. This is how major this energy is. So what else have we got going on with Saturn and Neptune? Because they are also on and off over this year going to be making a sextile, which is a helpful aspect to Pluto. Now, Pluto is in Aquarius, and this is your 10th house. So you're going to have this sextile from Saturn to Pluto and from Neptune to Pluto. Because Saturn moves faster, it will pull away more quickly. So you will feel that more initially, that will be the energy that you feel more sort of swiftly coming sooner. So it's going to bring deep transformation of your foundations. And think about it. This is the part of your chart about your career, your work, how you, what your soul path is. It could see long-term financial or emotional stability, because Saturn really balances and settles the energies down. I think you'll notice that you can streamline the way you work much better, so that you can actually put yourself under less pressure, let go of past burdens. And my goodness, on an inner level, personal strength. You will build this strong core psychological soul self. It's a very strong stabilizing influence for the year. What about Neptune sextiling Pluto? This you will feel as well at the beginning of the year, and then this energy will diminish because Neptune moves very slowly. This is going to bring, it's more subtle, but it's supportive. So it'll bring opportunities to have an emotional detox. And I think because Pluto is about beginnings and endings, it will enable you to cut through some of the illusions or fears and anxieties that Neptune can bring you. to really increase your clarity. And I think Pluto also sextiling Neptune will help you have more faith in your gut instincts and your intuition. Now, let's move on to a very important transit. Some of you may be very pleased to see the end of this transit, and some of you may actually think, oh, it's cool. I could have done with this a bit longer. And this, of course, is Uranus, our planet of the unexpected, of surprise, of change, whom you have had transiting your sign Taurus. And finally, and it's been at the 28, 29 anaretic degrees of Taurus, conjunct Algol. You may have experienced during these last few weeks and months of Uranus back in Taurus a tidying up of energies, a cutting out, a getting rid of, a pruning of the things you do not wish to take with you into the future. By February the 4th, when Uranus goes direct, and February is a big month astrologically because we have the Saturn Neptune conjunction on the 20th. By April the 26th, Uranus moves finally out of your sign into Gemini. Now, this is your second house of finance, of self-worth, of self-value, of all the things that, in a sense, Taurus embraces. So you're still going to have the essence of disruptive influences, making you duck and dive a bit to find innovative and different ways to manage your fiscal side of your life, your monetary and economic policies in your own budgeting. And it's just going to bring, what it's doing is it's forced you to really change who you are as it's leaving Taurus. It's challenged your comfort zone and awakened you on an authentic level that you perhaps never even knew was there. So what is Gemini going to activate when Uranus moves in here? Finances, all your income streams, your self-worth and your values. You may get unexpected financial opportunities or certainly changes because this is Uranus is bringing you in your second house the beginning of a 7-year cycle of financial innovation. So use this energy in a positive and constructive way, and wow, it's going to make you could really find yourself in a very positive position down the line using Uranus positively. Don't sit back on your laurels, because Uranus could also bring unexpected upsets if you are not holding the reins of your financial way of handling things. So the other thing I wanted to talk about before I move on, if I can find it, is, and where's it gone? I want to look at Uranus trining Pluto, because Uranus is going to trine Pluto. Uranus from your second house is going to trine Pluto to your 10th house where Aquarius is, where Pluto is. Now, so this is the financial impact on the work you do. It's a trine, it's helpful, as long as I was saying earlier, you don't sit back on your laurels. You can really make good positive headway with this financial trine you've got here. So this is going to be an on and off aspect throughout the year. So it's like part of our backdrop. It's our scenery. This is just supporting you taking the risks that Uranus might nudge you to do with your finances, taking the risks to move, to change, to shift. So it's very empowering, this energy. Now, let's also look, as I mentioned earlier, to Chiron. Chiron will move into Taurus in June. It's just going to be dipping its toes in, and then it will retrograde back into Aries before it'll finally, ultimately move into Taurus. But it's an 8-year journey approximately. How is it going to affect you in your sign? I'm a Taurus, I'm a Sun Taurus, and I feel quite positive about Chiron coming into my first house, because I'm thinking, whoa, great. This is going to give me an opportunity to really be the master of the health issues that particularly plague me. We all have our little idiosyncrasies and difficulties with our health and anxieties. And Chiron here is like saying, okay, come on, let's get down to it. Let's heal your body. Let's heal your self-worth. Let's reclaim any confidence that has had a bit of a bashing. Let's dissolve old insecurities, and let's integrate wounds from the past, turn them into wisdom. So it is ultimately an empowering transit that you can expect with Chiron here. Now, what about Jupiter this year? Because Jupiter, of course, has been in your third house of Cancer, and it'll be here until the middle of June, when it'll move into Leo, your fourth house, which is super interesting. But whilst Jupiter is still, for the first half of the year, in your third house, which is all about communication, it can be learning, it's about your siblings and your locality. Hopefully, through this energy, you have been able to have better communications, easier conversations, and potentially helpful meetings and connections with people. Maybe you've learned something really valuable and important. You might have had short journeys and trips to visit family, and this is still going to be there till the middle of the year. But I think it's brought you a more optimistic outlook in general for your future plans and ideas. So it's been good for you socially, it's been mentally uplifting. Now then, in the middle of 26, it will enter Leo, which is your fourth house. Well, this is very exciting. It is for me in particular as a Taurus, because I am moving back to England next year. And Jupiter in Leo, which of course is the fourth house, is about home, property and emotional life, and it expands real estate matters. So if there's any of you out there, Taurians, that are hoping to move in 2026, from the second half of the year, you stand a good chance of that unfolding. But you have to do something. And as with anything, we have to put energy into what we want to manifest. It's good for buying, selling, and for redecorating, even if you're going to make massive changes at home. Excellent time to do renovating, just changing things. It can accentuate family dynamics. Now, that can be in a good way or a bad way. So if there are problems, it can exacerbate them. So you need to nip those in the bud. Take advantage of what you have learnt through Uranus in Taurus to be a little bit more circumspect about the way you talk to others. I think Jupiter also will give you a sense of emotional freedom as it goes through Leo. And it's really going to emphasize your desire for comfort, feeling like you are at home, for belonging somewhere. So it really is a classic relocation or moving year. And especially because we have the Leo eclipses, or a Leo eclipse, which will be simultaneously be activated this year. So there is strong potential for Taurians, should you wish to move home. So let's just look at Pluto, because Pluto is in Aquarius all year, which of course is your house of career. It's your public status and your long-term life direction. It's going to be here for another, 18, 19 years. It's restructuring your career, your public status. It can bring a major career shift and advancement. It can bring new leadership roles, or you make the big decision to retire. That is one thing I'm definitely not going to do until I'm just not able anymore to make videos or talk to clients, because I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't doing this. I probably would eat too much. But you can really glean a new professional identity with Pluto in Aquarius. So let's just have a look at the eclipses, because the eclipses are going to be on the Aquarius-Leo axis, but still also on the Pisces-Virgo axis. So we have one, and I just want to go back to my notes, other notes. Right. So we've got an annular solar eclipse on the 17th of February. Now, this is in Aquarius. So this is in your house of career and work. Now, what's interesting about this eclipse, which is followed on March the 3rd by a lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse in Virgo, which is your 5th house. Now, what's interesting about both these eclipses is that sandwiched in the middle is that Saturn Neptune conjunction on the 20th of February at the 0 degree of Aries, on the cusp of your 12th house, your inner self. So that period for you is very reflective. It's going to bring up a lot of things to think about, a lot of change and letting go, putting something in the past and moving on. Now, the next two eclipses are in August. One is on the 12th, that's a total solar eclipse. Solar eclipses are new moons, lunar eclipses are full moons. Now, the solar eclipse is in Leo, and this, of course, is your 4th house. If you haven't already moved, I think you'll do it in August or soon after, if that is what you want. And then the lunar eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse, is in Pisces. And that, of course, is your 11th house. And that's on the 28th of August. And so that brings you more into what you're doing and how you're connecting with larger communities, larger groups of people. And maybe if you are moving, saying goodbye to the people that you've been connected with where you're living now, to say hello to the people that you are going to be meeting. So those are the eclipses. And I think it's also worth mentioning that because of Pluto's movement through your 10th house, this is with some of the other things that are going on, especially with that eclipse in Aquarius, that on on the 17th of February. It's going to be professionally a very significant year for Taurus. Probably you haven't had a year with the opportunities like this for your career, probably since about 2008. Now, the other thing I want to draw your attention to, first of all, there are Mercury retrogrades, but I will come to those as and when, because you'll never remember all of this. And it's easier if you get updated as we go through the year with the Astro Witters on a Wednesday and the Astro Forecasts on a Sunday. We have a Venus retrograde, though, which I think is worth mentioning because Venus is your ruling planet. And it will be going retrograde in Libra. Actually, it'll be in Scorpio and it will go back into Libra and then it'll finally go direct and back into Scorpio. It'll be retrograde for the whole of October and then it'll actually move back and be direct in the middle of November. But more about that later in the year, because let's just have a look at some of the collective themes that you can expect for 2026. Emotional healing, strengthening roots, letting go of old fears, improving family dynamics. This can be quiet this year, but deeply transformative. You can expect home expansion mid-year, if that's what you're looking for, and creative rebirth later in the year. And I think you will experience more internal peace than you've experienced in a long, long time. So what would I say if I was doing this in one sentence? I'd say Taurus spends 2026 healing old wounds, clearing emotional and karmic debris, and building a stronger inner foundation, so that by mid-year, a happier, more grounded chapter in your home, family, and creative life begins. Remember that Neptune in your 12th house is going to dissolve old fears. All the things that have been, going boo in the night, the monsters in the wardrobe or under the bed. Neptune will dissolve them. And Chiron in Taurus is going to heal some of your deepest wounds. So all in all, Taurus, a really positive year. So on that note, thank you so much for joining me for your middling brief overview for 2026. If you are new here, welcome. I hope this has helped give you something to work with for the year ahead. And if you like my channel, I would be absolutely honored if you'd subscribe. Please like as well. Please comment. Let me know how you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now. Bye. Bye.